Good morning, it's Friday. What is today? I'm a little excited. May the 18th, Friday morning, currently 9:09 a.m. local Dayton, Ohio time, and we're here live broadcasting from the Dayton Hamvention International. This is the entrance, East Hall exhibit entrance. We're going to go in first and take a look around at all the expensive exhibits. You can see behind me, it's one of the many displays. We'll take you around, we'll show you some of the more interesting sites here at Dayton.
Hi, welcome to AmateurLogic.TV, episode 13. I'm George.
And I'm Jim.
And I'm Tommy.
And we'd like to introduce our new friend from down under.
Hi, I'm Peter.
Jim and Tommy have just been to Dayton. And how do y'all like that trip, boys?
And it was a lot of fun. That thing was so huge, it's just unbelievable.
It really is overwhelming.
Yeah, I wish I could have made it, but I was not properly funded for such a venture this year.
Yeah, we only stayed 2 full days, and we did not see everything in the 2 days.
And Peter's just been to a Hamfest himself, right, Peter?
That's right, I've been to the Moorabbin and Districts Radio Club Hamfest here in Melbourne, in Australia, and it's the largest Hamfest in Victoria. There's a larger one up in New South Wales called the Wyong Hamfest, which I hope to go to one day.
Moorabbin, George, can you pronounce that?
I can't. I tried a while ago. No, I can't.
Okay, yeah, well, so we've got Hamfest coverage from around the world, literally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he brought us back some footage from there, and we're going to enjoy looking at that here in a little bit. So, Jim, what did you look at when you were at Dayton?
Ooh, lots of stuff. Especially enjoyed the big vendors, seeing their latest gear. You know, folks like Yaesu, ICOM, Tintec, you name it, L-Craft. Of course, also really enjoyed walking all over the outside flea market. I think they say, George, that if you walk up and down every aisle and around the perimeter, or maybe it was just around the perimeter of the outside flea market, you will have walked 7.5 miles.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I feel like I walked at least 7 miles.
They told us before we went you can't see it all, and I didn't believe them, but now I do.
Wow. Well, I had no idea. You know, I've never been there, and I plan to make it one day. But like I say, I would need proper funding for such a venture because I couldn't come back home empty-handed.
You would not have come home empty-handed.
Whether you had the funds or not, right, Tom?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, let's look at a little of that footage, Jim.
Okay, here we go. Here we are in Dayton. Carry you around on a little tour. This is the Yaesu exhibit. Yaesu has some really nice rigs these days. Here's the 897D. Tommy's admiring it. It's on a table with an 817 portable QRP rig. I'd like one of those. And the 857D there to the right being admired from the rear by some gentleman. And behind that, a pretty nice antenna, the ATAS 120. Is that right? Tommy liked that one so much he took it home with him. And over here, Yaesu's new rig, the FT450, if I remember the model number correctly. Cute little rig, small enough to be portable, big enough to be a base. Only one antenna jack on the rear, but a direct connect serial port. Only one antenna jack.
And a nice hefty power wire.
Here's the Granddaddy FT9000. The big rigs from all the manufacturers seem to have this LCD screen attachment, peripheral, whatever you call it, plugs in the rear, as well as the on radio screen. This rig is, of course, in the neighborhood of $10,000. Nice looking mic. Ah, yes, the Tin Tech booth. One of my favorite places at Dayton. Starting off the tour here with the Titan amplifier, high power antenna tuner, the Centurion amplifier. Tin Tech had them all there, as well as some Dayton specials, used Orion transceivers. Ah, and here's my rig of choice, the Omni 7. Networkable rig. Plug your Ethernet cable right into the back and operate the rig from anywhere across the internet or your local network. That means you could talk on it from the office. I hope my boss isn't watching this.
Hey, again, just give me a credit card and get you one of them. Do what now?
Tommy's encouraging me to take out my credit card and just buy one of these, the Tin Tech Orion 2.
That is the all-time Cadillac.
Considered the Cadillac of rigs by many people. Here's a little shot of the rear of it as well.
Not 2 years ago, this was the most expensive.
On to the Icon booth. We were moving a little quicker here. Kenwood had a booth, but it was even smaller than the Icon booth. And we didn't get any, if very little, footage. Again, the externally attached LCD screen. This is the IC7800, 706 Mark II-G, 756 Pro 3. I know it's moving quickly. We were looking for ICOM's new rig, but I think there were enough people there, they had it covered up. The back of the IC7800. We're going to come around now and look at the IC7000 and its external screen. Ah, that's another rig I would love to have. And finally, on to L Craft's booth, a very popular place at Dayton since their introduction of their new HF and 6-meter rig, the K3. Here's designer owner Dwayne Murdoch.
The basic radio is 10 watts, or you can buy it as a 100-watt model, or you can buy 10 watts and upgrade to 100 watts anytime. Sure.
This gentleman wants to pick up the rig. Dwayne says it weighs 8
So
pounds.
we're really targeting this at de-expeditions and RVs and high-power contesting operations where we want a fairly compact, lightweight desktop rig.
But it's gonna make a good base rig.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're gonna top the Orion and the IC7800 in several performance categories.
Interesting, Wayne there saying that K3 is going to top the Orion and the IC7800 from ICOM in several performance categories. I assume he's referring to the Orion 2. Here's one of the K3s set up with the cover off. You know, it is a kit, albeit non-solder module, snap-together module kit. Wish this shot were better so you could see more detail. It is software controllable.
Gee, that FT9000 is a nice piece of equipment, and I wouldn't mind owning that. What is it they say? The bigger the boys, the bigger the toys?
Yes, Peter. You're very, very well said, in fact. Or in this case, the bigger the boy's pocketbook, the bigger the toys, I guess.
And Tommy, was that your antenna on there that I saw too?
Yeah, that's the one I bought. I love that thing, man. I've got it on my truck now. I made a contact to Colorado on 6 meters with it this morning.
Yeah, it's automatic tuning, huh?
Automatic tuning. It raises itself up and down. It's really nice not having to get out and move jumpers or adjust things by hand.
Well, I bet that is, and I'm using one of those antennas from down under myself on the mobile. I use an Outbacker. Yep.
Ah, yeah. One of Peter's countryman's inventions.
Oh, yeah.
Straight out of the pages of QST and straight from the Hamvention floor, we ran upon a young man, and a hydrogen-powered car. Hi, how you doing? What's your name?
Trent Jensen.
Hey, Trent. See the car here in the background. Can you pronounce the name of it for us?
It is a hydrogen fuel cell car we call Sub-Zero 4.
Cool. Saw the article in QST. Are you a member of the team that helped design or build the vehicle?
Yes, I am.
Hey, good. Tell us a little bit about the car.
The car is a hydrogen fuel cell car. It's powered by a hydrogenics fuel cell. The fuel is compressed hydrogen stored in tanks. It weighs about 1,500 pounds with fuel and driver. It's entirely carbon fiber.
And what group are you associated with that designed and built the vehicle?
The Society for Energy Alternatives at the University of North Dakota.
Okay, cool. And what is the connection to ham radio? Are you ham?
I am, KC0YXH. We use ham radio to communicate between our lead and chase vehicles because state law in North Dakota requires us to have a chase vehicle at least. And we have an antenna in this car, so it's easy communication between the two.
Cool. Very cool. Oh, man. And so were you guys invited to display here, or did you guys just decide this was something you wanted to do?
We were actually invited, so.
Yeah, that's cool. Trent, thanks for taking time to talk to us. Hi, we're here talking with Scott Robbins of Tintech. How's it going, bud?
It's going good.
Am I correct in assuming that, not assuming, in recalling that you were a competitor in this past year's ARRL CW Worldwide competition?
Yeah, that's correct. From Canada.
Yeah. And how did you fare in that competition?
Hopefully I won. We'll have to see. I mean, the log checking's not out yet, but at least I had the #1 claim score on the internet.
Yeah, very good. Congratulations on that. Could you tell our viewers why you were operating from Canada, for example?
Well, it's closer to Europe. It's a little more advantageous spot than Tennessee would be.
So it played into your strategy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for taking a little time out to talk to us. We appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well, that Scott Robbins must be really quick on the finger.
Yeah, he's really into that CW stuff. I believe he lives in Tennessee, and he went all the way up to Canada to compete because it'd be a more strategic location for him. So that's pretty into it right there.
Yeah, it is. I guess that's legal. I don't know. What other kind of characters did you run into out there?
Oh, man, we ran into a bunch of them. We were walking through the swap table area and ran into quite a number. We ran into the 2600 crew. They were out there.
Tommy, who's the 2600 crew?
Well, that's the people from www.2600.com. 2600 is the tone that the payphones used to use to initiate a phone call. I think you've probably heard of a blue box and red box and so forth. That's what it's named after. But it's somewhat of a hacker community, and they're pretty popular. I actually recognized them walking through because I saw them on 60 Minutes on the news program here. It must have been 10 or 15 years ago. So they've been around quite a long time and had quite a following. Their table was really full. Emmanuel Goldstein was there. He's the one I recognized. I guess he's the leader of them. And he was really busy, so we started off talking to Tony, and then we had just a very brief time to be able to talk to Emmanuel at the end.
Hey, it's Tommy. We're still out here at the Dayton Hamvention. We ran into some pretty famous figures. We ran into the 2600 crew. Can you tell us your name?
I'm Tony.
Tony? What are you guys doing, Tony?
Well, here at Hamvention, obviously peddling our wares of 2600, goods and merchandise. Selling our magazines, our hats, clothes, our DVDs. We have all of our DVDs from all of our panels at our conference, which is a biannual conference that we hold in New York City at the Hotel Pennsylvania called Hackers on Planet Earth, or HOPE. We're just hanging out here and selling stuff, talking to people, meeting all kinds of people that are interested in the technology scene, and it's great. I love doing this. So.
Yeah, it looks like you guys got quite the turnout here.
Yeah, no, we do. We have a really good following, and it's really a great thing, and I love seeing that there's people that are actually out there reading it, and just over. My message. I guess my message is that I've seen several people come by that they look down at it and they see the Hacker Quarterly written on the magazines, and they're like, oh my gosh, they have a negative outlook on the word hacker. And I mean the word hacker doesn't mean steal your credit cards, destroy your identity. That's not what it's about. I mean, the hacker is just it's somebody that's interested in technology that likes to try to bend it. When people ask me what a hacker is, I tell them a hacker is somebody that likes to, for example, take a piece of technology, change, what it is to make it do something that it was not intended to do. Whether or not that's for good or bad, that's all on the other person. That's not on the whole entire hacking community. Just because one person does something, malicious, that doesn't make everybody else bad, because I don't do malicious things. I just like to try to bend the rules of technology and the things involved in it. So
yeah, well, you're out here with the group of people that like to change the way things work and do similar things.
Right.
You guys still publish the Hacker Quarterly. You guys have a radio show as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do 2 radio shows. Our main radio show that we do, that's it's called Off the Hook. It's on WBAI in New York. It's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. You can go to the website 2600.com. We have links to stream it. So if you're not in New York and can't get it on FM, you can just listen to it live via the internet. So we've got several different feeds, like high quality, lower quality, and also we archive all of our shows as well. So usually that night after the show, it'll be on the website for download, and high quality or low. So.
I've got one more question.
Okay.
Windows, Linux, or Mac?
Linux.
Okay.
Linux.
All right, I had to ask.
Oh yeah, of course. Is there anything else?
No, I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks a lot.
And we also have Emmanuel Goldstein here, and we saw you guys out, want to stop by and give you a chance to say hi, and the viewers. We got a lot of young viewers in the computer scene, as well as a bunch of people around my age, amateur radio operators.
Yeah, it's great to mix the worlds together, computer hackers, amateur radio, Dayton, New York, because there's so many things in common. We always have fun coming out here.
Is this your first year here?
Oh, no, we've been here many times. We drive the 2600 van. Somehow every year it makes it, and this year is no exception. A bit more expensive to drive out here, but still worth it.
That's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
I'm just glad this place exists and people come out and meet up. Essential part of the year.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Take care.
Emmanuel Goldstein, didn't he run into some kind of legal trouble or something with the motion picture guys?
Yeah, I think he got in trouble for having the code. I think it's code DECSS that cracks the DVD encryption. So I believe it was on his website, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I guess that could cost a few dollars to fend off.
Yeah, I imagine so.
And did you run into any other characters there, Tommy?
Oh yeah, Peter. There were tons of characters. There was this really interesting guy that he had quite the getup. He had a backpack on, full of batteries, and an antenna hooked up to the frame, and a QRP rig, and even an amplifier strapped to his chest. It was quite interesting. Let's take a look at that.
Hey, this is Tommy. We're still out here at Dayton Hamvention, and we ran into Bob here, W7KU. He puts new meaning to portable operator. Tell us about your equipment, Bob.
Well, I've got a Yaesu FT817 and a little MFJ mini tuner and a 35-watt amplifier. And my antenna is parts from the buddy pole antenna line, but never used the way they're originally intended. I've got it center loaded and a big capacity hat on the top, which really makes it really efficient, more efficient than it would be. And I've got 32 countries with my setup just like this.
Oh, wow.
So, and I just am listening to the HF Pack Net right now. all the people that are at Hamvention that are doing this kind of stuff are all having a net right now, and we're going to meet out in front of Hara Arena for a big group picture at 2 o'clock and an eyeball QSO.
We'll have to see if we can go out there and get some of that video as well. Tell us about your power supply right quick if you have.
My power is 10 amp hour D-cell nickel metal hydrides, and I soldered them all together with brass strips so that I wouldn't have any voltage drop between the cells. And actually these batteries are amazing because you can charge them with a 23 amp power supply that everybody has, a 13.8 volt power supply. They'll draw 23 amps when they're dead. Wow. But then they'll charge overnight in about 10 hours, and they'll run this setup for about 2 days.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to talk to us. Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, that's quite a setup that gentleman has got, but I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be terribly keen on being so close to such powerful radio emissions. Not very good for the health, I don't think.
Yeah, it could be a little dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I saw it as well.
Well, didn't you pick up a new portable rig yourself while you were there, Tommy?
Oh, yeah, man. I picked up an antenna that we discussed earlier, a new mobile rig for my truck, and several other things. Plus, I got a new handy-talkie. And, man, it has got the range, too, I'll tell you. It's a Benford 2007 model.
Wow. Can you
More power.
Can you fold up that antenna? Or it looks like it'd be knocking you in the head if you had it on the belt.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to keep it on your pocket.
Well, you know, I couldn't go to Dayton myself, so I checked around the internet, and I came across the website of WA5KUB, Tom, out of Memphis, who streams his trip to Dayton every year, and he also streams video once he gets there at Dayton. And, you know, I was watching that thing one day there during the convention, and I saw these two weird-looking characters come up. They looked vaguely familiar to me.
Yeah, you know, we actually ran into him and did an interview with him. His name's Tom. He's a really nice guy, WA5KUB.
Yeah, let's have a look at that.
We're still out at Dayton Hamvention, and a lot of you that have checked the coverage on the internet may have seen Tom's link, wa5kub.com, on the Hamvention site. He's been streaming his trip all the way up here, I believe, from Memphis. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yeah, that's right. 550 miles. We were able to stream it the whole trip. We were anticipating a blackout zone through Kentucky, but this year we had great coverage through there, so it was a great trip.
That's pretty awesome. Have you had very many people come by and check out your helmet cam?
You know, there's a lot of people come by and they want to meet us and say hello. We go in restaurants at night and they say, hey, we know you guys. In fact, somebody recognized Bruce the other day. Says, hey, I know you. You're Bruce. You're the guy in the car. So a lot of people have been watching us the last couple of days and know who we are. Kind of been following us.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Our other guy that does the show with us, George, he's been checking it out pretty often at home. He wasn't able to make it out here this year. How many years have you been out here doing this?
Well, this is my 28th year to come to Dayton, 28 straight years to come to Dayton, but we've only been streaming video about 5 years. This is our 5th year. We've actually only upgraded equipment and did it in a much more professional way the last 2 years.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, what can you tell us about the equipment and what you're using for connectivity here?
Yeah, we're using the wireless service that you can get at about any provider like Sprint or Verizon. It's the EVDO type coverage. It's actually CDMA. It's like I think 1,800 to 1,900 megasockets. It's a little different than cell phone, but you know it kind of rides along with the cell towers. It's not exactly cell phone, so it is a different type service. But we take our stream from our encoder here on the laptop. We send it back to a server that we have in Miami, and then that server is on the internet. And then we have a much larger connection to the internet, so we can serve a lot more people. And we've had people in probably 100 to 120 countries that have tuned in and watched us and chatted with us on this particular trip that we've made.
Will the archives of your video files here be on the site to view later, or some pictures, or how will that work? Anything you can see at a later time?
Yeah, we'll put. We always have still pictures. I kind of feel we have one of the largest collections of Dayton Hamvention pictures on the internet. We've got about 5 or 6 years now. We put about 100 pictures every year, or maybe 150 pictures. each year on our website. We will put still pictures on here this year, and we'll also probably be running a slideshow of still pictures on our website. And we'll have some archiving that we'll probably run. I just got off the roof a few minutes ago. We were up there, and we were able to get a bird's eye view of the place. We archived all that, so we'll be able to show that on the internet too.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing that. Well, anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and hopefully we'll see you out here again next year.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you.
Tom, he was a pretty nice guy. You know, he's pretty well a fixture there at Dayton. Everyone knows about him. He that's not the only Hamfest he goes to. He'll be at the one in Huntsville, Alabama coming up. He makes the rounds, goes to pretty much all of the big ones.
Yeah, you know, I was really glad to find that. Even though I couldn't be at Dayton, it gave me a little bit of a connection to it because I could watch the video there and see people coming by, and you know, gave me a little feel of camaraderie with the folks who actually were able to attend it. And it was real interesting watching his webcam streaming live there, and because there was also a little chat room beside it, and you could see you know, all of us who were sitting at home commenting on the big bellies walking by the cameras, because there were quite a few. I'd say probably us amateurs spend too much time sitting in front of the microphones. Maybe we should get up and walk around or ride a bicycle sometime.
But don't forget to take your handy-talkie with you.
Yeah, but anyway, Tom, thank you. That was really great. And anyone interested, go check out WA5KUB. He's got some other videos there you might like to see as well.
Well, gentlemen, down under we also have Hamventions, not quite as big, but certainly plenty of interesting junk to go by. And I actually got some footage from a recent Moorabbin and Districts Radio Club Hamvention. So how'd you like to have a look at that?
I think we would all like to have a look at that.
That sounds great.
Hi, I'm Peter, VK3PB, and welcome from Melbourne, Australia. I'm located today at the Brentwood Secondary College here in Melbourne on a very fine, warm autumn morning. And today's the day of the Moorabbin Districts Radio Club Hamfest. This apparently is one of the biggest Hamfests here in Victoria, and it's one that I haven't been to before, but it should be worth checking out. So let's go have a look on the tables.
Boy, this looks vaguely familiar.
Oh, cables, yeah.
You know, I would have sworn that same guy was at the Jackson Hamfest back in February, because
I think you're right.
I think I saw the same cables. And you've also always got a good selection of two-way gear there. You can see that commercial stuff that shows up at the Hamfest a lot.
Yeah. That looks like a table full of good stuff right there.
Yeah, Wireless Institute of Australia.
That's like your ARRL.
Oh, okay. See, ICOM was there, or someone had ICOM gear.
Is that ICOM or just a dealer, Peter?
I'm not sure. I think it might have been a dealer.
There's your antenna, isn't it, Tommy?
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. I really like that thing.
Well, what is that? A GPS?
I'm not sure. Could be.
Or maybe an APRS?
Scope?
Yeah. Good books. Yeah, this looks a lot like our Hamfest, our local one here in Jackson. I mean, the swap tables, it looks almost identical. There's a lot of tubes.
Yeah, it looks pretty much like the ones up here too.
Yeah, Missouri.
Yep. Yeah, the only one that I've really so far been that's really different is.
Now look
Dayton.
at that. You see that? That is an old Radio Shack communications receiver. I don't remember the number on that, but
that's
Jim
the
and
same one I had.
You had one of those?
Yeah, I had one.
Those are neat.
I actually had a later model, the Realistic DX302, which is a very good receiver. I'm actually looking to buy one in the near future, second hand.
So pan across the room there. You look like you had a pretty good many hams in there.
Yes. It's about the size of a basketball stadium.
Yeah, it's about similar to the size of the Hamfest here in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
More HTs.
Mm-hmm.
That handy talkie's about the size of the one I had.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing some business. I saw somebody carrying a rig by just there. Now there's some antennas.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting to see a lot of Outbacker antennas on there. There's
Look at
Jim's
those.
tubes.
Look at those old tubes there, classics.
Yeah. Yep, I gave away a lot of those.
He spent many hours looking through tubes at Dayton. He bought quite a few, but there are still a few that he didn't find.
I see computers make it to the Hamfest there as well.
Oh, yes. Yep. Actually, when you're going through looking at this stuff, it's also really important to look under the tables. A lot of the best stuff is down there.
Exactly. Well, there's an oldie but goodie video camera there.
Mm-hmm.
It really looks good, but I'm sure the one that you were holding is much better quality than that one.
Oh, this is quite a nifty thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've seen those around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's usually a place at the Jackson Hamfest that sells those.
Nice power supplies there too, it looked like. Test equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So did you buy a bunch of new gear here, Peter? Or a bunch of gear, period?
No, I was really there just to film for the show, but one thing did catch my eye. It was some loop antennas, commercially made, which looked rather good, and I was thinking I might get one of those for home use.
Look at that tube. Boy, not a...
Whoa.
I don't know what model that is. That's an oddball looking one there.
Mm.
Looks like some microwave gear there underneath it maybe too. There's some, oh, is that a Kenwood or what is that?
Good question.
Looks like it might be.
Back through the tables, there's a drill press. You never know what you're going to see at a Hamfest, that's for sure.
Those drill presses are really useful, actually. I wouldn't mind getting one myself. Because you drill very straight, which is important.
Yeah, my neighbor up the street just bought a laser guided one, so I'm looking forward to borrowing it. Well, I guess that's some linear amplifiers, huh?
Yep, that's right. It certainly looks like it, and
pretty nice to go on your handy talking.
You can strap it to your chest for your QRP rig.
There you go.
There's those loop antennas I was talking about. Just passing there. Now, can you stop right there? If memory serves me correctly, that's the Sony ICF 2001D, which I think was also sold as a ICF or 7600 something. And the guy I was speaking to there was telling me that is like the radio to get if you're looking for a second-hand radio. Really, really good quality, high quality, portable receiver, and very good sound selectivity, sensitivity, all those things. Definitely one to get if you're looking for a good second-hand portable.
There's an HF rig of some sort. Yeah, the guy's got a pretty good stuff on this table.
Mm.
Yeah, no doubt.
Peter, I tell you, I would not have really known that footage came from the other side of the world. I mean, it looked just like a Hamfest around here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's pretty much the same the world over. And the best thing for you Americans is that your US dollar will buy about $1.25 Australian or thereabouts. So your dollar goes a bit further.
Wow, so that $60 amplifier I was looking at would actually be a real bargain in US dollars.
About $47 Australian.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's pretty
I'll
neat.
take one.
Me too. Yeah, we should have sent some dinero over.
Yeah. The only thing you've got to be a bit careful of is with some of the electrical equipment. Here in Australia, we use 240 volts, whereas I understand you use 120 volt over in the US.
Yeah, 120. Of course, we have some stuff that runs on 240, and a lot of gear, you know, is tapped where you can run it either way. Are y'all 50 hertz or 60 hertz down there?
I think from memory it's 50 hertz, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think most of the world is.
Yeah, I think we're the oddball. But we're 60 hertz, I think, because there's, you know, 60 seconds in a minute or something or other. It's a timed decision, I believe.
We have one more piece of video, don't we, George?
Well, yeah, that's right. We sure do. Our good friend Foxx up in New York has put together a little video here that I think all amateur radio operators are really going to like, and those guys experimenting with Wi-Fi stuff are going to like this too.
Hi, AmateurLogic. This is Foxx. You guys probably recognize me from another show, BSOD. Just want to say I love your show, love where you're going, I love all the stuff you're doing on it. Really great show. I figured I'd contribute to your show a little bit with, well, for BSOD I was actually asked to do a whole bunch of stuff for 2.4 gigahertz, and I was donated a significant amount of LMR 400 coax by one of the fans of BSOD, Andre Croy. Thank you very much for the cable. And I was looking around my lab, and I came to the realization that I don't have the appropriate coax crimpers for LMR 400. And a lot of the things that turn a lot of people off towards fiddling around with 2.4 gigahertz and Wi-Fi, with antennas and all that stuff, is crimpers are very expensive. I mean, they can range anywhere from $80 to $150 plus dyes and all this and that. And people don't want to go and take a tin can and a scraps connector and an El Cheapo Wi-Fi card and then have to wind up paying more for cable and crimpers than they do for the actual equipment. So I was looking around my lab, and I remembered that metric socket bits have a hexagonal head, which are very similar to the hexagonal head that are in coax crimpers. So I sized up a couple of socket bits. I got one of these deep socket bits. I got an 11mm one, and I cut off from here to here, which is the part that goes inside of the socket bit itself, and then I bisected it into two pieces. Now what I have are two pieces of a socket bit that'll actually fit over the crimping collar for LMR 400 class connectors. In my case, I'd be using an N connector. To apply the pressure on these two halves of socket bit, I use a standard everyday locking vice grips. If you're going to use vice grips, you're going to need some man hands. You're going to need quite a bit of gripping power in your hands. You can't use dainty little, touch nothing but a keyboard girl hands. If you don't have enough power in your hands to use vice grips, you can also use channel locks or even a household everyday desk vise. Cutting the socket bit in half is actually something of a task. I would not recommend using hand tools. I actually used a handsaw to cut off the butt end of this that goes into the socket wrench, and believe you me, it was a hassle. As for the actual bisecting it into two, I used a high-speed rotary tool known as the Dremel with a high-speed cutting wheel. Really, if you're doing any of this kind of stuff, you should already have a working knowledge of a Dremel, cutting tools, and all that stuff. So, with that said, let's go to the lab desk, and I'll give you an example of how I crimp N connectors on an LMR 400 coax cable with just a socket bit and my vice grips. Alright, here's my desk vise. I put some LMR 400 cable inside of it just so I can keep it steady while I show you. The process of what we have to do here. Some of the tools that we're going to need are, of course, our vice grips, our bisected socket bit, some form of needle nose pliers, some form of wire cutters. Now, these are standard diagonal cutters, and these are not. When you're actually cutting the center conductor of the coax itself, if you use these, it'll make a cleaner cut. If you use standard diagonal cutters, it'll actually crush the tip of it and deform it. So when you have to put on your center pin of the end connector, these will actually deform it, so you're going to have to go and do a little bit of work to get it on. We're going to need a razor blade or a utility knife to go and cut the sheathing, as well as the dielectric material on the inside away from the coax and the signal and all that. And we're going to need a soldering gun. Now this is LMR 400, so it's relatively thick, so I'll be using a 100 watt soldering gun and a little bit of solder. The the first thing that you need to do is go ahead and strip back the appropriate amount of... Well, actually, no, the first thing you do, the absolute very first thing, here's our end connector. You need to put the crimping collar on. Before you make any cuts, before you do anything whatsoever. Okay? The end connector comes in 3 pieces. You have your center pin, right here. You have the actual connector itself, and you have the crimping collar. The crimping collar goes on like so, with a little bit of effort because the coax cable has been slightly deformed. And then we need to peel away the coax in layers. We're going to have to cut away a small amount of outer sheathing, and then expose the shielding, pull the shielding back, expose the actual signal center line, strip that away, solder the center pin on. This will slide over the top. This will slide between the shield layer and the actual outside layer, and then using our crimper we'll crimp it on. So I'm going to go off camera and do a little bit of cutting because cutting is boring and no one wants to see that. Okay, I've gone ahead and stripped back some of the outside insulation, trimmed back some of the shielding, and trimmed back some of the center dielectric material, and I trimmed down the center conductor, so all of that will fit together. Now I'm going to use my 100-watt soldering gun, and I'm going to make sure it's nice and hot, and I'm going to put a very small thin layer of solder on this center signal conductor so I can solder on this connector, the center pin connector. Make sure your iron is really, really hot, and you don't heat up this center wire too much because this insulating material inside is usually some kind of polyethylene, or it doesn't like heat that much, so you can actually do a fair bit of damage on this on coax using the wrong kind of soldering utensil. So this might take you a few attempts if this is the first time you're ever doing it. There we go. Center conductor soldered on. There's usually a small little hole somewhere around that on the center conductor where you can feed in a small thin amount of solder. So you might want to keep an eye out for that. Once this is cooled down enough, try to cool this down as fast as possible because again the center dielectric material does not like heat. We're going to take our end connector and we're going to put it on, and then we're going to work our shielding back around over the underneath where the collar is supposed to go. Okay, we're going to pull our collar up. Let me adjust the position of this a little bit. There we go. And we're going to pull our collar up, making sure that this connector is as far inward this way and the collar is far this way. So you want to take the two of them and meet them up together like that. So make sure this is as far down as possible. Make sure that's up as far as possible. And then we're going to go and take our makeshift crimper, put one hex side on the top, one hex side on the bottom, and then we're going to take the vice grips and we're going to put a fair amount of pressure, keeping the socket bit as far forward as possible but not on top of the actual connector. We only want this on top of the collar. You want to make sure you have as close as a fit. Check, double check, triple check, quadruple check. And we're going to take our vice grip, put on like so. We're going to give it one hell of a squeeze. Okay. Now what I like to do is constantly increase the tension you're putting on this, and just constantly make the grip tighter and tighter and tighter. Actually, I think this might be a little too tight. Nope. There we go. That is, I believe, as tight as it's going to get. I like to let it sit there for a second just to let it set in, but if you're impatient, just pull it off. And lo and behold, there you go. Your nice new crimped connector. Well, enjoy everyone.
And that idea for those crimpers is pretty nice. I've actually got a roll of that LMR 400 in my garage. It's rolled up hanging on the wall. It's got ends on both ends, but it's actually too long for what I need to use it for, and I don't want to buy a pair of crimpers, so I think I'm actually going to go get a socket and make that myself.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's actually a great tip. I don't use the end connectors myself, but on smaller type connectors, I've generally been using the screw-on type but I find that they keep falling off. So I think crimping is the way to go.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah, I never really trusted the screw-ons myself. I always liked the crimp or solder, and crimp is generally easier. And with a good tool like that, you know, the connector's going to stay on pretty good. I actually own a crimper that will crimp that size of cable, but the tip was so neat, man. I'm thinking about making one myself just for the heck of it.
Yeah, well, I don't have a crimper. I can guarantee you I'll be making that.
Well, guys, I guess that wraps up another AmateurLogic.TV. This is episode number 13. Jim, glad to have you today.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast. It was a great trip. I would go again in a heartbeat. For me, that's a measure. Tommy said the same thing. Yeah, we spent some money, you know, a couple $100 for airfare if you're going to fly or drive. It's about the same thing. And $60, $70, $100 a night for a hotel, and rent a car while you're there if you fly for another $100. So you're going to spend less than $500 by the time you include your food and everything, but it is a well worth it trip.
Yeah, he was right. I'm definitely going back next year. There's no doubt about it. Unless something terrible happens, I will definitely be there, and I'm probably going to take my truck. I saw some good deals on tower, and unfortunately they wouldn't let me tie that stuff to the top of the airplane and bring it home.
Yeah. I bet they wouldn't let you carry that walkie-talkie on board either, would they?
No, they wouldn't let me take my handy-talkie either. Peter, it sure was good to have you on here this time.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing your Hamfest video. It's pretty amazing how similar they are, being so far apart.
Yeah, you know, we met Peter, I guess, you know, through the show, through the website there, and correspondence back and forth, and then we got on Echolink and had several good long QSOs there, and we've just kind of worked him in as part of the team here, and we appreciate him being on board.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to contribute something to the show, and I think the most important thing is just to have a lot of fun, and I'm certainly doing that just at the moment. And hopefully I'll be able to bring you some stuff. Would you like to know some of the stuff that I've been working on?
Yeah, exactly. What have you been into there?
Well, the first thing is that this weekend, the AmateurLogic.TV logo is going into space. Thanks, courtesy of JP Aerospace. They're sending our logo up on a weather balloon, probably 50 to 60 miles above the Earth's surface.
Wow.
So I should be able to bring you some photos of that probably in the next episode. I've also just recently bought a Chinese receiver, a little shortwave receiver called the Degen DE1103, and I'm going to do a review on that. And it's a great little receiver, by the way, so stay tuned for that. And I'm also into amateur television a little bit, and you would have, we think we've got some footage. Yeah, we do have some footage of a friend of mine giving a talk about amateur TV, and we can have a look at that in the future.
Yeah, I've actually had a little sneak preview of that footage myself. It's some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to get into that myself. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I can assure you it is. I actually have a weekly program which I put on here at every Friday at 8 o'clock, and basically I put on an hour's worth of fish. That is an hour's worth of digital fish tank, an aquarium, and I just do it for testing purposes. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And afterwards, after that's been done, there's a gap of about an hour, and then a friend of mine puts on a rebroadcast of an astronomy club net, which he pumps the audio through the amateur TV repeater. And in between there, we actually get on Skype video, and we actually have a two-way conversation, and we put both of our faces up on the ATV repeater. So it's kind of like live talkback. It's a lot of fun, I can tell you.
Well, now, have you played Amateur Logic over there before through the ATV?
I have. I've got to be a bit careful because there's a prohibition on broadcasting entertainment and in the amateur rules. But some of the material, for example, you know, your segment on the soldering and that, broadly fits within, you know, probably wouldn't be regarded as entertainment. It's more educational. So that kind of stuff I do throw up from time to time. But just got to be a bit careful about, you know, not overstepping the mark.
Gee, I never would have thought anybody would have accused us of providing entertainment. Would you, Tommy?
No, I've never been accused of being entertaining.
Well, we've enjoyed it, everybody. We're glad you could join us today and be here for episode 13. And we hope to be back in the near future with number 14.